What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. It has finally arrived. It seems like only yesterday that we were excited for Sun and Moon, and here we are on the cusp of another new generation. Pokémon Sword and Pokémon Shield. No, not those ones. There you go. These are the newest games coming to the Nintendo Switch. Everything seems so well thought out and planned, from the gorgeous new gameplay on the Switch, to the Galar Region's name seeming to be a combination of gallant and valor, to the intricacies of the overall map. But of course, the biggest draw of any new Pokémon game is the new pocket monsters themselves. And Sword and Shield did not disappoint, even if they did take their sweet time. We were treated to the introductions of the new starting trio in Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sobble. And while at this point we still only know so much, I'd like to take some time to evaluate and even speculate about how these cute little critters might turn out. So I guess maybe spoilers or something. At least we'll be talking about the new games a lot, so be warned. We'll start with the first of these in the regional decks with the grass starter, Grookey. Grookey is clearly a grass monkey, and while its name likely has nothing to do with Groot, the mental connection doesn't hurt. The official Pokémon website describes it as a mischievous chimp Pokémon that is full of boundless curiosity. And since chimp Pokémon is capitalized, that tells me that it is the species category for this Pokémon as well. In the video, Grookey is first shown to be beating a rock with a stick to make noise, which it can then put up in its hair, kinda like Braixen's wand a bit. Whether that's just more mischief, or it's calling for help, or it's some kind of hunting method, I don't know, but it is an interesting bit of fleshing out for this Pokémon to have as a gimmick of this sort, even if it might not be presented through the combat in the games. And I would like to say that I've already seen a lot of positive views on Grookey, who is my favorite of these three new base stages. But I've also seen some lukewarm and even negative reactions, which I do not understand. It's adorable and great. It climbs up an entire building just to say hi. All I'm saying is that if people can adore Infernape, I see no reason Grookey should not be equally as popular. If I'm going to be exploring a region where everything is new to me, someone with boundless curiosity seems like a perfect fit. The actual first new Pokémon that we saw in the trailer was the fire starter, Scorbunny. The official website calls it a rabbit Pokémon that is always running about, bursting with energy, which can clearly be seen in the trailer. Scorbunny vaults up a giant set of gears and then jumps a story or two down onto the grass, flames spurting from its feet all the while. Like how we've had other monkey Pokémon, this is not the first rabbit that we've had. Now, it's not a huge thing, but I'm not the biggest fan of this Pokémon's name. Not that Grookey is the most creative I've ever heard, but it just seems like the American version lacks some originality. Like Talonflame. It's just sort of a descriptor that doesn't really flow in any way. However, Scorbunny does continue the trend of the fire starters repping the Chinese zodiac. I used to not consider this as concrete, since Fennekin isn't really a dog, but if they can have the tiger be Electabuzz, who's just some random elemental blob in the latest Pokemon Go event, a fox is certainly canine enough. But I'm really gonna have to see the final evolution on this one, because to me, it just looks like it'll be another firefighting type. I hope not, but we'll see. And then it leaps away, leaving fiery imprints on the ground, which might have carelessly spread if not for our last starter, Sobble. Sobble is the water type of the three. The official website says it's a somewhat timid water lizard Pokémon that shoots out attacks as it hides itself in the water. Now this one to me is perhaps the most interesting, because it's so nondescript. It is clearly a reptile, but not one that's immediately recognizable like the other two starters, which provides an air of mystery. To complement that, the trailer shows us what exactly it means to hide itself in the water, as Sobble is completely invisible before emerging. This ability is unexpected and unique in terms of Pokemon starters, and one that I really hope carries into its evolutions. Despite the teeny tiny limbs of this Pokemon, it seems to be able to stick to surfaces, crawling both down and up as if it were walking on the ground. Its name to me is a blend of Bubble and Sob, and maybe that's not what they were going for, but the perpetually concerned looks this Pokemon has plastered on its face is a pretty good bet. Now, it's probably a little early for this, but what do we think the final evolutions of these Pokemon might end up being? And for this I primarily mean typing-wise, but we could also speculate on actual forms as well. I foresee Grookey as maybe becoming something like a big gorilla, since despite all the primate Pokemon, we don't really have a definitive gorilla, not that I can tell. So a big grass-type one with a stick could certainly be pretty cool. And I say that we should wait for the final evolutions on these, except I don't think that I've ever had a starter that I clearly loved over the other ones that didn't follow suit on that in its final form. So Grookey seems like it's going to be a lock. As for its typing, I could see Grookey actually becoming a dark type one day, or maybe even a fighting type. But they can't have two of those. See, for some reason, I can't shake the idea that Scorbunny will be another fire-fighting type. Maybe it's just because it reminds me of Maylene, but you gotta admit, it looks more inclined to the fighting type than any of these others. Maybe that's all just failure of imagination on my part though, because I don't really know what they could do with a rabbit in 3 stages to make it cool, or really stand out other than just a big bunny. But looking at it now, I could maybe see the ground type coming in as well, and if that's the case, then it would shoot up much higher in my esteem. And lastly, we have Sobble, who, when I first saw it in the trailer, and considering the region, it made me think, oh man, is that going to turn into a Nessie? Now, I may be way off base here, and that's fine, but I would simply love a water starter that becomes a giant aquatic dinosaur. And that being said, if it were true, we could very well be in store for our first ever Dragon-type starter. Other than that, I could maybe see a Psychic type due to its camouflaging abilities. See, I saw somewhere else that others had come up with these combinations simply due to moments in the trailer. Grookey hits a rock with a stick, Sobble is invisible, and Scorbunny runs up some metal, but I don't buy it. Kecleon can become invisible, and it's not a ghost type. Well, not all the time, anyway. And to me, Steel seems like the opposite of running around bursting with energy. So unless they make an agile, speedy Steel-type evolution, I feel that this rabbit is staying out of the armor. And along with that, I know that there are more potential leaks and things, but I have tried to avoid any of those that may come out about these games. I'm sure that there was a leak perfectly predicting these starters, but I didn't read it, so I got to be surprised by everything that they showed me. And really, that's the best way to play a Pokemon game, with each step bringing new adventures. Not just you mentally checking off which rumors were true. So while I'll be doing my best to avoid too much information about Sword and Shield, that doesn't mean that we can't have some fun talking about it in the meantime, since there will certainly be much more information to come. So, which starter from the Galar region is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!